are you forgetting something? It looks like you, forgot to wash your hands after you, went to the bathroom. Oh, well, actually, I don't wash my hands. Isn't that funny? What? You don't wash your hands? Now, if you or a loved one have experienced this, the only proper way to get a person to wash their hands is to forcefully put your hands on their head and put their head into the sink until they actually wash their hands. With new diseases like the coronavirus that is absolutely destroying China right now, with multiple diseases like the cold and flu, I myself am feeling the effects of the cold and flu right now, and it's probably because some people forgot to wash their hands. This is a PSA announcement for anyone out there who thinks that it is okay to not wash your hands after going to the bathroom. You will be hunted down and you will be caught. And I know what you're thinking for guys, because I'm a guy and I understand how guys' bathrooms work. I don't understand how girls' bathrooms work, so forgive me for that. Most of you will say, oh, well, I didn't touch anything. I didn't touch anything when I went to the bathroom. This is a bullcrap argument because we all know what you mean by you don't touch anything. It means that you don't touch the toilet handle. Usually you use your foot or your arm for the urinals, stuff like that. We all understand that, okay? Everyone understands that. But listen, did you touch the door when you walked into the bathroom? What about the door walking into the public place that you're at? What about the car door? What about the other surfaces that you've touched on your way inside? This is an epidemic, okay? There are germs everywhere, on every single surface. So, the Dockery Docket firmly endorses washing your hands and staying clean and tidy. If you haven't washed your hands in a long time, go do it right now. Pause this episode. Go do it. You can come on back. Don't worry. I'm not leaving. I'm not going anywhere. I'm going to give you a few seconds to go right now to wash your hands, okay? I'm going to even have some special water sound effects happening right now. Okay, you're done? Good. Don't you feel better? Don't you feel more clean? Thank you for letting me do this very special PSA, and I hope and I pray that you don't get sick. Enjoy the show. Everybody, it's Kyle Dockery with the Dockery Docket. We are officially on episode 12 of the Dockery Docket, and I want to thank you all for listening, and I'm glad to be here, even though I have come down with the coronavirus. So, I mean, this might be the very last episode of the Dockery Docket, because I don't know what's going to happen to my body with the coronavirus inside of me. I'm just kidding. I have a cold or something like that. But that PSA at the very beginning is extremely important. I want to make sure that you're clean. I want to make sure that you are healthy and safe and happy. A clean person is a happy person. I want to put that on like a billboard or something. A clean person is a happy person. I believe that with all my heart. So this week has just been absolutely wild. So we started out this week having a Q&A session with the senators and the Chief Justice. So what would happen would be the senators would submit questions and they would be sent over to the Chief Justice desk. So the Chief Justice is the leader of the court. He's the one who's monitoring all of this stuff. And so if you have a question, the senator will stand up, use their microphone and say, hey, I have a question for the Chief Justice. And then the Chief Justice will say, okay, great. And then the paper will be sent to him, and then he will read off what it says. So this led to some very interesting controversy as Rand Paul decided to send in a question. And now this question, you know, the Chief Justice reads the question before he reads it out loud. He reads it to himself. So the Chief Justice read this question, and apparently it had something wrong with it because he said that he would not read the question. Apparently, the question had the name of the whistleblower in it. No, the whistleblower. We haven't talked about the whistleblower in forever. that's because apparently he was left on the side of the road by the Democrats. But anyway, it's very interesting that John Roberts didn't answer this question because, for all I know, John Roberts doesn't know who the whistleblower is. Rand Paul doesn't know who the whistleblower is. Even Adam Schiff said so long ago that he doesn't know who the whistleblower is. So if nobody knows who the whistleblower is, then you can't get mad about someone putting a name on a piece of paper and sending it to the Chief Justice, okay? So once this happened, Rand Paul was ticked, okay? He was angry. He was livid. So he stormed out of the chamber and he went to, like, this press. Like, there's a stage and there's this press stuff, and he was like, okay, I'm mad. So Rand stated on Twitter, and he also stated in that press briefing, which the press briefing was funny because one of the people in the press was like, aren't you supposed to be in the impeachment hearing? And he's like, yes, I am, but I'm going to go back. Don't worry. But he said his question out loud there, and he also said it out loud on Twitter. He wrote on Twitter, my exact question was, are you aware that House Intelligence Committee staffer Sean Misko had a close relationship with Eric Caramella while at the National Security Council together? And how do you respond to reports that Carmilla and Misko may have worked together to plot impeaching the president before there were formal House impeachment proceedings? So it seems to me like Eric Carmilla is the alleged whistleblower. And now, on this radio program, I will not mention the whistleblower's name, Eric Carmilla, who happens to be protected by law, Eric Carmilla, and happens to be safe, and apparently I've heard recently there's been pictures floating around that this Eric Carmilla guy is very shady. Like, he's been in the Obama administration. I think he's dating Adam Schiff's daughter. I'm not sure about that. I'm going to have to fact check that because I'm not really sure if that's true or it's just a picture of them together. But if it is, that would be huge, okay? That would be huge. I'm pretty sure there's a picture out there of them together, so... And this whole idea that Adam Schiff never met with the whistleblower is just absurd. And it also just cracks me up because once this came out about Eric Carmilla, everyone was freaking out. Everyone was like, he named the whistleblower! He named the whistleblower! How can you name the whistleblower when you don't know who the whistleblower is? Rand Paul said this many times. He said, I don't know who the whistleblower is. John Roberts said he doesn't know who the whistleblower is. And Adam Schiff says he doesn't know who the whistleblower is. So how can you say that he called out the whistleblower when you don't even know who the whistleblower is? It doesn't make sense, okay? So everyone is now calling for Rand Paul's head. But I think Rand Paul is safe because apparently nobody knows who the whistleblower is. So he didn't really leak the whistleblower's name. But if you want to know the alleged whistleblower's name, it is Eric Carmilla. And I keep saying his name over and over again because apparently some people were banned on Instagram and Twitter for saying his name, and maybe this video will be banned. Please, don't ban this video. I worked very hard, tirelessly, trying to get this video out, okay? Don't ban me, YouTube. Please don't ban me. Don't ban me, okay? So, anyway, after this, there was more messes that happened with this impeachment trial this week. And also, I want to say really quick that this will be the last episode that I'm talking about impeachment. I said that last week, hopefully, that everything would be calmed down. And guess what? It hadn't. And it still hasn't because we still are having issues with this impeachment process. So after this whole Q&A session debacle, there was still debate going on with the Senate on if they were going to call additional witnesses in the trial. And this seemed to go on and on and on. As Democrats continue to claim that we can't have a real trial if we don't have any witnesses. And so this was a huge debate this whole entire week. And we've talked about this before. The job of the House is to make sure that they have all the evidence, have all the witnesses, and then they shuffle it over to the Senate, and then the Senate votes on yay or nay of the impeachment. If you want to know more about that, you can check out Dockery Docket number 11. So anyway, this was a huge debacle because John Bolton came out. John Bolton, he kind of looks like a walrus. I don't know what's up with all these people in politics looking like animals. I mean, you got Mitch McConnell, who looks like a turtle, and you got John Bolton, who looks like a walrus. I mean, look at him. He looks like a walrus. I think it's more the beard, but that's just my own personal opinion. So anyway, John Bolton comes out with this book, and it is a hard-hitting book, okay? It is a bombshell. Well, the media will tell you. Everyone in the media was like, this is a bombshell, this is a bombshell, 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 bombshell. John Bolton had this book written, and he was ready to release it. So somehow, some way, some magical way, the New York Times got a copy of it and started leaking it out to everyone. And so people were reading this and they were like, this is very crazy stuff. You know, this is very serious stuff, because apparently it said stuff about what Donald Trump told him about Ukraine, that John Bolton was in the meeting with Donald Trump when he was talking about Ukraine and holding up the aid. And so many of the Democrats were like, okay, this is a big deal. Big deal right here. So this means that we must call in additional witnesses. And the Republicans, on the other hand, were still like, no, we don't need to call in more witnesses because you dropped the ball in the House. And then there were 4 Republicans who were sort of like, maybe we should call in witnesses. I'm not really sure. Maybe we should, maybe we shouldn't. They were on the fence. And to me, it almost makes sense because, I mean, you come out with this information about John Bolton and you're curious, you know, you're wondering what John Bolton has to say about Donald Trump. But the fact of the matter is that the House should have waited to get the subpoena for John Bolton, and then he could have testified in the House of Representatives. That should have been the point. That should have been what the Democrats did, and they dropped the ball. Nancy Pelosi dropped the ball on this whole entire impeachment hearing. To get this vote passed in the Senate, 4 Republicans had to jump over to the Democratic side. If you're voting on party lines, 4 Republicans had to jump from the no, we don't want witnesses over to the yes, we do want witnesses. And like I said, there were 4 people who were on the fence. We had Mitt Romney, Susan Collins, Lisa Murkowski, and Lamar Alexander. Now, this is very interesting because 4 years ago, Mitt Romney ran for president, and he was apparently a racist, sexist, homophobic bigot. Susan Collins was the one vote that confirmed Justice Kavanaugh a sex offender, according to the left. And the other 2, I don't really know much about because I don't think they're as prominent, but I definitely know that Liz Murkowski is from Alaska. She's very much in the middle on these sort of issues, and so is Lamar Alexander. And we know that Mitt Romney's been an anti-Trumper for a very long time. So I only mention this about the whole how the left hated them because now the media love them. The media love all 4 of these people. They're saying, oh, come on over to our side. Come on over to our side. We love you. And it's just like they're being two-faced, you know? They're saying, ew, Mitt Romney's disgusting. 2 seconds later, oh, we love Mitt Romney. He's the best person. And he could even save our democracy, which is just a ridiculous point. It was funny because I kept watching like different news outlets and different people talking, and almost every single sentence that they said, they ended with something about their democracy. Like, oh, the president needs to be impeached so then we can save our democracy. Also, the Democrats hated John Bolton. They thought that when Trump appointed John Bolton, that he was going to completely throw us into another war. He was going to completely destroy the United States of America and lead us into another war. But now he's the hero of the Republic. He is the hero. He is the God-sent savior of our democracy. And it's just hilarious because I feel like if Donald Trump started to hate on Donald Trump or Mike Pence started to hate on Donald Trump, then the left would be like, yes, Mike Pence, we love Mike Pence. We've loved Mike Pence from the very beginning. He's our friend. We love him so much. So this vote was cast on Friday. Okay, so I'm prepping this up for you. Democrats needed 4 people to jump over to the other side. Do you think they got 4 people to jump over to the other side? No, they didn't. Oh, this is so sad. The Democrats only flipped 2 other Republicans and decided to vote for witnesses. The 2 of them were Mitt Romney and Susan Collins, which I wasn't really surprised by this. Mitt Romney has been very either anti-Trump or very centrist. Susan Collins the same way. She's sort of been very centrist in her state. You know, she's trying to appeal to her base. Both of these people are trying to appeal to their state. They want to win their seat. They want to win re-election. And the Democrats pointing at them and saying, oh, you didn't want more witnesses in this trial. You must hate your state. You must hate your district. This is what the people wanted. They get mad about it. But once again, I say, this should have been the House of Representatives' responsibility to get John Bolton to testify. Also, the vote was one vote away. Only one vote away from John Roberts deciding if the vote would live or if the vote would die. So that's exciting, which I think it would have been very fun if the vote was tied and then just watch John Roberts be like, I don't know what to do. Because that would be a very scary moment for John Roberts because, you know, if you say, yes, we will have witnesses, then you have a whole bunch of Republicans saying, how dare you do that? And if he said, no, we won't have more witnesses, the bill is dead, then all the Democrats will be like, oh no, he's hurting our democracy. So it's interesting. It's all interesting, but luckily it's done. So this leads to basically the end game of the impeachment, as Donald Trump will more than likely be acquitted by the Senate. Now, this acquittal will more than likely happen on Wednesday. So final arguments will happen or have happened on Monday and today. And then on Wednesday, it will be clear and Donald Trump will be acquitted, continue to be the president of the United States. Now, it is interesting because this whole week is filled with jam-packed stuff. Monday was the Iowa caucus, and I can't talk about that because I recorded this video on Saturday, released it on Tuesday, so I can't really say who won in it because it's on Monday night, and then that will cause me stress and anxiety to enter in who won. I might enter in a picture of who won, but we'll talk about that next week. We'll talk about the Iowa caucus next week, and whoever wins. A lot of people are thinking that Bernie's going to win, which it will be very, very interesting. Then moving on to Tuesday, a.k.a. today, a.k.a. Donald Trump is giving his State of the Union address, which is a really, really interesting thing because that's when the impeachment trial will be wrapping up. So what could hypothetically happen, which I don't believe it will happen, make that very clear, but what could hypothetically happen is that Donald Trump gives his State of the Union address where he talks about how great America is and how great we're doing in our economy and stuff like that. And then the next day, he could be impeached. You know, I really think that the senators dropped the ball on this one. They should have voted before the State of the Union so then we could find out if Donald Trump is going to remain president, which more than likely he will. 99.9% he will unless something crazy happens. And more than likely, I think some Democrats are going to jump over to the Republican side. It's been reported that Joe Manchin from West Virginia, Mountain Mama, and Doug Jones from Alabama have sort of been on the fence about the impeachment. And other Democrats have come out and said that this impeachment doesn't seem to work. So more than likely what could happen is that this impeachment vote could be more bipartisan than the impeachment vote in the House. So this whole week is going to be crazy, and I am so excited to watch all of it. I'm excited to see who wins the Iowa caucus. I'm excited to watch the State of the Union. And yes, I am excited to see Donald Trump acquitted of these crimes so then people can start freaking out and going crazy. Because you know that's what they're going to do. It's going to be like 2016 all over again. You know that woman where she's like, no! I love that video. I'm going to put a GIF in there of her because that is my favorite video of all time. So for this episode, I decided to do something a little bit different and talk about something that is very important to me. And it's been happening for a while. And it's been really annoying. So one of the worst things that could have happened to Hillary Clinton in 2016 is when she said that Trump supporters are racist, sexist, homophobic, xenophobic, all these isms and all these phobics. And in the end, she said that most of Trump supporters belong in a basket of deplorables. And this basically sunk Hillary Clinton's campaign. So do you think that it would make sense that a news organization that calls themselves the most trusted name in news, the best news organization ever, they want to be taken seriously all the time, would make fun of Donald Trump supporters? The answer is yes, they would, and they did. So Don Lemon, who decided to get drunk one year on TV and get his ears pierced, which was very funny, was on with New York Times columnist and CNN contributor Wajahat Ali and GOP strategist Rick Wilson, who has written many anti-Trump books. So I think it's best for me to read this because it's hard for me to play the audio. So Wilson says that Pompeo, which this whole story is about Mike Pompeo and how he got mad at a reporter because the reporter said that they were going to be talking about Iran. He came in and all of a sudden she started talking about Ukraine and he was like, what the heck? What is going on here? So anyway, Rick Wilson goes on to say, Pompeo also knows deep down in his heart that Donald Trump couldn't find Ukraine on a map if you had the letter U and a picture of an actual physical crane next to it. And now this led Don Lemon to completely combust and start laughing. He had his head on the desk and he was just cracking up. There were tears in his eyes because apparently that joke was so funny. So anyway, so Rick Wilson continues. He knows that this is, an administration defined by ignorance of the world. And so that's partly him playing to their base and playing to their audience. So he's saying that Donald Trump supporters are dumb and don't know where Ukraine is on a map. The credulous boomer ruble demo that backs Donald Trump. Both Wilson and the Ali guy then started speaking in Southern accents, pointing out that a part of the country is full of stupid people, which is definitely not true. They said stuff like, Donald Trump's the smart one and y'all elitists are dumb. You elitists with your geography, your maps, and your spelling. Ali chimed in, while his fellow guest added, your math and your writing, all those lines on the map. And Don Lemon could not stop laughing. He was cracking up about this. His eyes were just watering and stuff like that. So this usually gets people fired up. This usually makes people believe that the media is against them. And this has especially been happening with Trump supporters. And it has especially been happening with different videos online, conservatives are just dumb. They don't believe in X, Y, and Z. And I have learned in my time that there are many conservative people that are extremely smart, and they are extremely brave too, because they have to put up with a lot of stuff. And I mean, I'll use myself as an example, and my friend Sam, who I have mentioned on the show before. In college, when I was in college, he's still in college, but when I was in college, I had a professor who was a communist. He was literally a communist, and I had to respectfully disagree with him on some things. And also along with that, my cousin has gone to school. His name's Gavin. He's gone to school, and there have been people who have told him, oh, well, this whole impeachment vote means that Donald Trump isn't president anymore. And he's had to explain to them that that isn't how the impeachment process works. And he's had to explain in a respectful manner what the impeachment process means. Also, when mentioning Gavin, I also have to mention Dylan. Dylan, you had a great basketball game on Saturday. I'm really proud of you. You did great. You scored all the baskets that you could, and you made layups, and you were awesome. He doesn't really like politics, but he likes basketball, so we'll bring in basketball a little bit. That's fine. Along with that, my sister has a friend who has a daughter named Grace, I believe, that listens to our show, and she went into a Starbucks with a Second Amendment shirt on. I owe props to you, because that is a great thing to do. I can just see the shirt, with the guns just blazing, firing off. I think that is incredible. And, it makes me very proud of these people because they're becoming stronger. They're looking up facts. They're learning different things, and they're trying to make a difference onto the community that they have. And I want to encourage you. If you believe in something, believe it. If you believe in something, even if it's outrageous, look up different facts about it. If you believe that socialism is good, do some research. If you believe that capitalism is good, go do some research on it and talk to people. That's what I want this whole point of this whole little ramble to be about, is you can talk to people about what you believe and what you don't believe in, as long as it is in a respectful manner. And I mean, we talked about this in the Thanksgiving episode. You know, if you're flying off the handlebars saying, oh, you're a racist, you're a sexist, all this stuff, then the other person wins. The other person wins because they don't look like the crazy person. If you act calm, you act sane, then you won't look like the crazy person. And if they're going crazy, just stay calm, okay? And that's what I want to get out of this, is stand up for what you believe in, but do it in a respectful way. And you might not change their mind. And that's okay too. You shouldn't have to change people's mind. You need to just plant a seed and have them sort of grow on their own, grow their opinions on their own, because they may say, oh, that's a good thought, that's a good idea, but they may not believe 100% what you're saying. So that is enough with that ramble, but I really wanted to talk about that because it is very important with this whole impeachment stuff going on. You know, everyone's saying that Donald Trump's impeached, and it seems like every time you go on Twitter, there's a new hashtag saying the GOP is dead, Donald Trump is getting kicked out of office, and it just isn't true. So now we are going to talk about Babylon Bee article of the week. Okay, so this one is called Remembering World War III, 30 days later. Do we remember this? That, you know, the very first day of January, we were going to go into war with Iran and we were going to get millions of people killed and, you know, we're all going to get drafted. Do we remember this? So anyway, the article reads, Sunday will mark 30 days since America defeated Iran in World War III, the shortest war in history. President Trump, now seen as the greatest world leader of all time, needed only 45 seconds to declare his victory. It started when Trump ordered an airstrike just after midnight on the 3rd of January 2020. The strike killed 2 high-ranking Iranian officials, Soleimani and Abu Mahdi al-Muhandis? That's a hard name. I'll put it up on the screen. Who had definitely started the war by being in American territory in the first place. This left the Iranians helpless and forced them to surrender. The war was over. It was a good war, great war, well thought out, President Trump explained, looking through his Twitter feed from early January. I like to consider myself the Winston Churchill of World War III. It's got a nice ring to it. In the 4 weeks since World War III, the globe has grown to its safest level on record. Every terrorist in the world has been killed. Iran has been wiped off the map, and the territory previously known as Iran, Trump-Pakistan, is now the hottest tourist destination on the planet. With a world like this, it's hard to imagine another major war anytime soon. Thank you very, very much, President Trump. So it's amazing how quickly the news changes and how everything seems to go from, oh my goodness, we're all going to die, to, oh, well, everything's fine now. Hopefully next week I will be done with this cold, and hopefully my voice doesn't sound terrible while I'm recording this. So I want to thank you all for listening, and until next week, like my mom always says, be good, be kind, be loving. Goodbye.